Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today we have a video from Slipshod Wizard in the now departed Missouri. And I'm hoping everybody out there that wanted to get this ship managed to, and for those that didn't or are coming to the game too late to get her, well, I hope she makes a return, and if nothing else, you'll get to see what she brings to the table. And really, the Iowa is no different. Well, there are differences. The main difference being the radar, and just the money earning potential of this ship. The Missouri never fails to impress with how much you can walk away from a strong game with. And you can see playing alongside a couple div mates, one in a Baltimore, one in a Izumo. Slipshod is basically sailing towards B. It's a decent place to put the Missouri off the start. That radar meaning, if there's a destroyer in B, between the Baltimore and his radar, they should be able to get rid of any DD there. And then his guns off to the port side of the ship, plenty to shoot at should ships arrive at A. I like the play. You see so often battleships go way out here or like way out wide of sea, and then you end up so far out of the game. Going in here, you've got islands, you've got ways to cover yourself, and hopefully it works out. I've actually got a new secret spot on this map that I like to sail my Des Moines. I've figured out a pretty strong position, and it's along the same thinking of this, heading more towards the middle of the map and then shooting out, as opposed to getting on the outside of the map trying to shoot in. Now obviously something is an A, but Slipshod is not detected, which means no way his radar is getting it, doesn't waste it, the smoke goes up, still no way he is getting that DD. However, it looks like momentarily he either gets detected from firing his guns, or someone else, maybe the Baltimore's radar? No, the Baltimore doesn't have range to that. So, yep, the Yamato giving his position up, sailing out of his smoke, and, well, Slipshod gonna take a shot, try and make him pay for that mistake, and the shells connect, 5,400 damage, all in overpens. Still a good chunk of that Yugamo's health. Definitely making the DD think twice. The downside being the Yugamo does manage to get the cap before any of the hits land. Now looking at the map, it looks like Slipshod's team pretty much all had the same idea. There's a big push into B. You can see it's turned at least a Zhao around. The Martel looks to be trying to turn to get out. And meanwhile, enemy team's battleships, they're going out wide. And it's gonna mean if they can really secure the center of this map, they've got so much cover, they're going to be able to do work. Now Slipshod's radar completely covers B, it encompasses most of A, so nothing should be able to sneak up, and it's really just finding a gap. And you can see Slipshod interested in shooting this Chungmu. There was a Bismarck that he had shots at, but you get rid of destroyers when you can, because you may never get another chance. None of those shells hitting, unfortunately. Does use the radar though, catching both the Yugamo and the Chungmu. Hopefully some allies can take advantage of it. The Chungmu slipping out of detection. The Yugamo though is sailing in, is going to be detected, and with a Hindenburg to the south there, you really hope that that Yugamo is going to pay, because the Hindi can absolutely remove destroyers. Now Collingwood DK in the Baltimore, he's in a tight spot. That's a Zhao right there. Now, does a huge chunk of damage in Citadels, but did the Zhao get torpedoes off? That's the big question. It doesn't look like it. So Collingwood gonna survive, and really at this point, I think the best place for him is to continue north, get into that channel, remove the chance of taking shots from behind. Though the gunfire has stopped, and Collingwood's kind of just come to a stop against the island. Is dark. That's really all that matters. And you can kind of start to see what I mean by you just get map position. Now the big downside here, the big downside is if the enemy team on both flanks pushes in at the same time, you have no means to hold them off. You have to split your fire between everyone in here, and there's no way for you to really protect yourself from both directions. And you can see that in priority target. 5 people momentarily aiming there, but consistently 3 or 4 looking Slipshod's way. So don't want to sit still and think you're going to be safe. You got to keep moving. And Slipshod gets the rudder over. Unfortunately, going to eat at least 1 torp from the Chungmu. 13,000 damage and some hits from the Yamato. Okay, time to get that repair party going. He's waiting on damage control though, and the simple reason, there's more torpedoes coming from the other side, and the last thing you want is to repair the one flood only to eat another. So you can expect that damage control to get triggered pretty much the second that torpedo hits, and preserve what hit points he can. And this, I'd say, is the one kind of big downside to going into the middle of the map, is you can find yourself surrounded very quickly. But if you get there and then push out, you can have a lot of success. And the reason why, most ships kind of end up doing this. They sail broadside to you, just trying to shoot in. The Des Moines learning a bit of a lesson there. 1 Citadel, 1 penetrating hit for a good chunk of his health, and Slipshod's first real big damage of the game. Enemy Montana getting focused down, a Shima torpedo finishing it off, and looking at the last known positions, Slipshod makes a smart decision, uses the radar, and catches the enemy Yu-Yang and that Des Moines. And you can see a lot of people shooting at the Yu-Yang, but Slipshod, he wants the DM. He was sailing way too broadside originally, still not angled out enough. Just getting those front guns into action. Gets away, only 7,000 damage there, and the Zhao gets finished off by the DM. Things are not looking great. They're down by only 1 kill. They're gonna have 2 of the caps hopefully here. But Slipshod's divmate and that Hindi are really separated out on a flank. Now, they are kiting away, which means if the enemy team chases them all into the corner of the map, Slipshod's team should be able to finish off this group out here no problem. However, if that enemy team decides to coalesce and come around the north, Slipshod is in a very fragile position. If this Iowa shows up, he's gonna have broadsides. And it's no secret as to where Slipshod was up until that Des Moines getting killed. He was detected. So you kind of got to think, how am I going to deal with this? Some torpedoes going through the gap astern of him. And he thinks about it and decides, I've got to get turned in. Unfortunately, right as he finally starts to pick up some speed, torps arrive. And those deep water torpedoes just give you so little warning. That said, the Iowa showed up, kind of as expected. And Slipshod managed to get around enough not to be giving full broadside like this Iowa is, and they're pretty much identical ships. So what he just did to the Iowa is probably what would have happened to him had he stayed stationary sitting there. And you can see he brings the rear gun around to just take a shot at the Donskoy, and the Shima absolutely unleashes a wall of torpedoes. This Iowa is gonna be dead, but Slipshod kind of goes, no. This is mine. He came around at me. I want more damage. Another Citadel before the torpedoes finish the Iowa off. And there's 1 more ship down. And you can see the enemy team is starting to fade. Slipshod's teams managed to stem the bleed. They haven't lost any more ships. The Yamato might prove tricky. Now, the Iowa and Missouri, they're not the North Carolina. They cannot perfectly tank, and wow, what a read. Gets the radar on just in time. The Yugamo getting finished off by the Shimakaze, though would have died regardless. Ends up eating a lot of torpedoes, and I feel a bit bad for the Shimakaze. Slipshod kind of pinned him there. Maybe he could have survived, who knows, but then it would have been Slipshod dying. Just all in all, ugly situation. Both ships kind of sailing into one another, and not a Slipshod's shells managing to hit. Now if I'm him, I would actually be kicking it in reverse, just trying to get that rear turret on. 1 degree, come on, show that green, there it is. The rear turret finally getting to fire, gets the kill. First one of the game, 110,000 damage in, and it's nice to see that the Shima isn't really raging in chat. Now, personally, a Yami angled this much, it needs to be a little bit flatter, but that spot right under second turret, if you can hit there on the hull, you're gonna get big damage. And Slipshot's kind of just stuck here. Secondary is light of fire. He really just has to try to do damage. And really, honestly, hope this Yamato gets greedy. You can see with that volley, though, he aims higher. Just hoping to drop shells into the superstructure, removes 10,000 hit points. You know, that's important. And he's decently angled here, so if the Yami doesn't pick any sweet spots, should be able to come through this one. With the Shimakaze finally having sunk, Slipshot's free to start moving again, and that is big. Now, pretty much straight in, just going for the face of those turrets. It doesn't work. Every single one of the shells shattering. And this is where you start thinking, okay, it's ramming time. And you can see he's opened up to do that, but the Yamato has gotten a little greedy, showing a lot of side. So I would be trying to avoid the ram, just looking to put the citadels in, aiming over that long bow of the Missouri, 3 citadels, and then he brings the rudder to the right as if going for the ram, and I don't think he should have tried for the ram there. The second that Yami overstepped like that, Slipshot's in the driver's seat. That Yami's going to take an eternity to get those guns around, whereas you can see Slipshots are almost there already. The secondaries, they're trying to scare Slipshot away, but I mean, this Yamato is absolutely helpless in that position. Sounds the horn to celebrate victory, up to 178,000 damage, 2 kills on the board, and, well, what's left? A Yu-Yang, no radars left. Shoot. That is really unfortunate, because if he had a radar, he'd stand a better chance against this Yu-Yang. Without it, well, he could be in a world of hurt. There is the Donskoy just sailing into range. Takes some time to aim. Puts the shells, but at 23 kilometers, you're looking at a bit of luck. If that Donskoy maneuvers, it doesn't work. And it's looking like the shells don't hit. But the Chungmu gets detected, firing in close at the Conqueror, so you know where one of those deadly destroyers is. And they've got the lead right now, so they really just need to try to survive. Gets 1 shell, 1 overpen into the Chungmu, fires the rear turret once again at the Donskoy, and you can see they're losing the Conqueror. And just wiggling that rudder back and forth proves to be enough, ducking the torpedoes, and once the torpedoes pass by, you know at least whereabouts the ship was. You know, you can watch how far they go, know roughly the range that the ship's torpedoes may be, and get an idea where that enemy vessel might be, and, well, when the kid detects it, that's all the info you need. The gun's coming over. Still not a cruiser, but they are decently fast. And broadside on DD, rear turrets, 2,700 damage. If you can get an equal amount out of these front two, he'd have the kill, but doesn't quite do it. Picks up the Confederate though. And one more dangerous ship done. And at this point, things should feel pretty secure. You've got a kid out in front of the Izumo and Hindenburg who managed to survive on that other flank. And, well, there is a Chungmu here. It's not as big a threat anymore. Because even if Slipshot goes down, you've got the caps. The odds of a Donskoy taking down a Hindi and a Izumo pretty low, and the kid should be able to deal with this Chungmu. And no luck this time. The wiggle, not enough. But has the damage control, no repair parties. And honestly, this is where a little teamwork could eliminate a ship. If that Donskoy was in a position to be shooting, you know, he knows the damage control has happened, but the Donskoy is sailing completely different direction from the Chungmu, So there's no follow-up fire to that Chungmu's torpedo, which means Slipshot's gonna live. Ducks those torpedoes, and with every rack that goes by, kind of narrows down where the Chungmu is, and finally the Chungmu goes, no, I'm going to do this myself. Opens fire, and it is a good gunship. You can see him melting the hit points. Will Slipshot get a shot off before the Chungmu manages to kill him? Does. Not what you'd want. Kind of just hoping that Chungmu smokes himself or something and actually breaks detection, because, well, Slipshot's not invincible. The secondaries picking up the high caliber, the Chungmu finishing him off, but now his position is known. And you've got a kid versus what is essentially a Fletcher. And, well, this comes down to hit points mainly. And the kid's in a bit better a position. Not great, but does have that repair party, and you can see he is using it to pick up some hit points. And, you know, the kid makes a smart move. Why try to kill the Chungmu? You've got all the caps, it's the only ship left. All you're doing is helping the enemy team buy time to maybe get more kills. Now, it would take a miracle for that Chungmu to somehow win this game with the amount of points, even if he got the kill. So, it's a win.
And you can see what I was talking about at the start. 1.1 million credits, or thereabouts, 16,000 XP, 4,000 base XP, Confederate, high caliber, surprisingly no dev strikes or crack and anything like that. This was a high damage game at almost 200k, but only 2 kills. And that can happen in battleships, that can happen in any ship. And I think the important thing to remember when you're playing ships is the games are going to balance out. You're going to have astounding ones sometimes. That's not going to happen every game. Other ones are going to be mediocre, but eventually it averages out. As you can see in this one, 2700 base XP, well, 2691. Also, very good amount, and that's what the Missouri does. Now, since the whole 7.1 changes, it seems like the Missouri hasn't been quite as reliable. Battleships in general have been a little messed up, and Wargaming has admitted they're investigating and trying to figure out what's going on after the community really spoke up and's like, something's not right. Like Kurfürst, Conquerors getting Citadel left, right, and center, and other ships that were supposed to be accurate are suddenly not hitting the broadside of the barn. And the Missouri seems to be one of those maybe caught in the middle of this. So we'll see how this all goes. Wargaming's trying to figure it out. But in the meantime, just keep playing, keep having fun. Hope everyone enjoyed this one. The Missouri will be back one day. I can guarantee you, Wargaming doesn't keep things locked away too long. They want to keep the hype going. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another for you all later.